here talking about Deadpool and Wolverine on the stars joining me right now. Brianna, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, first off, congratulations on the movie. This is a
Thank you.
massive movie that it seems like's taken over the internet. Are you surprised every time one of these Deadpool movies come out that it just captures the world's imagination?
Yeah, I am. I am. I never expected it to get to this point, and now it just feels like with every movie there's a new mass of lovers of Deadpool. So it's always surprising and super exciting. Yeah.
So I know the world premiere happened. I know you were there. Talk to me about the
Yes.
excitement in the room when seeing, and was that your first time seeing the movie, first off? And if so, what was your reaction getting to see it on the screen all done?
Yeah, that was my first time seeing the movie. It was, I think, a lot of the cast's first time seeing the movie too. So that was really fun. It was fun to get to first of all see them, but then also experience watching it together for the first time. I think usually some part of the cast gets a little view of it beforehand, so that was really fun and special. But yeah, the premiere was great. There were a lot of cosplayers, a lot of super fans, which is always great to see. Like, I don't know, their excitement is just contagious, and yeah, that was really great getting to see everyone dressed up, and also the movie was great as well. And I don't know, it's not surprising to me, but it's, sequels are always a little, you never know. And
Sure.
I loved this movie. I really did. I thought it was super fun and funny and entertaining. And I think a lot of people will feel the same way.
The reaction I'm seeing already on social from people who've seen the movie is beyond. It's through the roof. They're calling it,
Yeah.
the best of the trilogy, which is, like you said, hard to do for a sequel to continue to top yourself. Now, I have a
Right.
question. When you're watching the movie on the big screen for the first time, are you like me? I can't stand to watch anything that I do back or listen to things back. I'm very self-critical and I just see the mistakes. Are you that way? Or are you able to sit back and actually enjoy it as an experience?
Yeah, no, I am exactly that way. I like, I love going and seeing everyone, having a drink afterward, or like doing the press stuff. But when it comes to sitting down and watching my work, it's always like, ooh, you shouldn't have done that. Ooh, why'd you make that choice? That was interesting. I don't know. I've been hoping it gets better with time, but I'll let you know if it does, because so far it's
So
still
far,
a
not so
struggle.
much.
Still a struggle. I don't know why that is either, but
Do you
hey,
get like
it
the
makes me
anxiety
feel
when you
better.
know your scene's coming up and you're like, oh, I'm about to come up, it's about to happen, and there I am.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, other times, it's like, sometimes they cut the movie differently than the way that they had written it. So sometimes it's like, oh, I thought that scene was going to be here, and now it's just going to slap me in the face when it happens, which maybe is better than the anticipation, because that might make it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, just sitting there and waiting for that time. When this movie was first announced, obviously the addition of Hugh Jackman made this, even more to the next level because we thought we weren't going to see him after Logan, and then we hear that he's coming back. Can you recap to me like your reaction when you first found out? Not only are we doing Deadpool 3, but now this iconic character and performance is going to be a part of it.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I think I found out through the news, and then I think my dad sent me a link about it because he's always up to date with his little Google alerts. And yeah, I remember just being surprised. I wasn't expecting it, but I was also really excited because I've heard such great things about Hugh, and I was excited if I got the chance to meet him, and then I did end up getting to meet him, and he's great. Lives up to everything that everyone says about him. So um, yeah, it was surprising, but I mean exciting. I wasn't sure because COVID kind of threw a wrench into literally everything. I wasn't really sure about the third movie, and I was just honored to be invited back.
Yeah, well, now when you're part of this franchise and you've worked with Ryan Reynolds, obviously, what's when we think about the Deadpool movies, we think about the comedy of them, as well as the great action and the great
Yeah.
effects and the great story. But we think about the comedy, and it seems like Ryan Reynolds is just firing jokes out there all the time. Can you tell me, do you, or let me say this, does the director, Sean Levy, allow for a lot of improv on the set, or is it very to the letter of the script because it is a complex story and we need to make sure we get certain points in?
I'm sure it's to the script as far as like plot points go, but in the scenes, like scenes that I've had with Ryan in this movie and in the past movies have always been like, here's a rough outline of what we're saying, and we run it through the way it's written a few times, and then we do a bunch of different alts. Sometimes I ask the writers to help me with alts because Ryan is so sharp, and I'm like, I can't keep up. Like, I feel like I'm dropping the ball sometimes. Like, how did you even think of that? So yeah, but a lot of those like really funny, quick scenes, a lot of that is improv and ad libs.
And is that fun, like as an actor, or to be in the scene and kind of really have to be in it and listen
Yeah.
for it, or is that also anxious in its own way?
I think I used to be a lot more anxious about it. Because I think I just grew up like a perfectionist, and the same, probably for the same reason I don't like to watch myself, right? But when you're really in it, it's just a fun challenge. And especially working with Ryan, it's like you're working with the best of the best, and it's a fun acting challenge. And as long as you don't put too much pressure on yourself, me personally, I'm talking about, it's very fun. It's super fun. I really enjoy the banter.
Now, when you're approaching, I think any role, but especially when you're getting into these big movies, I don't know if you would do this, but when I get into interviews, I would look at some great interviewers and I'd be like, oh, let me see what they do. Let me see how they attack this topic or get into this angle. I don't know if it's the same for you as an actor. Do you look at other actors and actresses that you are fans of and try to see what their process would be like? And if so, who were some of those people for you?
Sometimes, yeah, it depends on the project, really. Like, I mean, there are so many actors that I look up to. Most of the time, for this one in particular, because I started the first one when I was so young, I think I was 17 at the time, maybe 18 then. But I really just honed in on the methods that I learned from my coach, which was the Susan Batson method, and I did a lot of journaling, a lot of character development stuff, which then makes it so much easier when there's another movie a few years later to just open that journal again and refresh on all of the stuff. But I found that I think is the most effective process for me. I think everyone's different. I think that really helps me to get in character. I love to make playlists and, do all of this stuff that makes it feel more fun and creative. But I do really admire so many actors. And yeah, I mean, I should probably do that. This is actually a great idea, and I've never thought of that before. So thank you for the idea.
Well, there you go. There you go. Take it, it's yours. Now, you and I share the same home state of Texas. You born in College Station. I'm still here in Houston, Texas. And to me, I think when people think of the state of Texas, they don't always think of the great art scene that we have, especially in places like Houston and Austin and other surrounding areas. Can you
Yeah.
speak to at all if Texas had an influence on your art or sparked an interest in art with you early on before you went to Hollywood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've always been interested in art. I grew up in choir and I was a dancer. My grandmother was a painter and I would always paint with her. So I've always been interested in art just as is, but also growing up, my mom lived in Austin, and I remember loving to visit her because I loved seeing all of the murals. I loved, like, sometimes I'd go to slam poetry things with my brother in Austin. Um, Houston, not as much because I didn't grow up there and my family wasn't there. But I am currently in the Houston area. So I am trying to explore that. I'm figuring out, like, it's very spread out. I never realized how spread out Houston actually is. It's actually very similar to LA in that way. But yeah, if you have any arts recommendations, send them my way.
All ears, right? And also, I
Yeah.
mean, you're a musician as well. And I know that you write,
Yes.
record, produce your own albums and your own songs and things like that. Do you find that there's any parallels that you found between making an album and making a movie?
Yeah, in a way, for sure. I mean, like I said, I journal for my characters, and when I write songs, it sort of feels like a cathartic journaling as well. It's sort of bringing yourself to the art. For me, I'm always trying to bring the character to me, as far as acting goes. And with music, it's sort of the same thing, right? I'm sort of like trying to to access this creative side of the emotion that I'm feeling. So yeah, I guess there are some similarities in that way for sure.
And how difficult is it for you or was it for you, or did you kind of revel in the process of putting together your own album? Because that's a lot that goes into it. It's more than making a song. It's listening to mixes. It's finding someone to master it. Oh, hey, let's go back in and tinker with this vocal, or maybe we could change the musicality here or the arrangement. Did you like kind of revel in that creative process?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I've always been a night owl, and I spent so many hours just in the studio until like 3 or 4 a.m. You know, that I think is I think that's was my favorite part of it. The album ultimately I didn't love in the end, and I probably should have spent more time working on it. But my favorite part was just going and getting lost and everything. You know, just looking at the clock and being like, oh, I've been here for 12 hours. I should leave. You know, I feel like that's telling of how much you love something. And I feel the same way about like acting classes, or when I'm around friends who are also actors and we're playing with things. Like it's super inspiring for me.
Well, it's kind of fun in the process too, right? Even if it doesn't come out
Right.
the way that we foresaw it, what's great about art is it's living and breathing, and especially when you have full ownership of it, you can always go back to it again and change it
That's
if you
true.
need to, right? Have you
That's
thought of
true.
that?
I have thought of that. And I also, it's been like probably, oh my gosh, like 9 or 10 years since that happened. So I actually was thinking about that recently, about getting back into the studio and working on the same songs. I don't know very much, but I definitely know more than I did when I was 18 and making it. So yeah, hopefully that ends up happening.
Now, Deadpool in this series has become special to a lot of people. Like these are their movies. This is the ones that
Yeah.
they put in when they're having a down day, a good day, whatever their feeling is of the time. They're putting in Deadpool. What are those movies for you? Mine's Back to the Future. No matter what's going on, I can watch Back to the Future, and my life is great. Do you have that go-to comfort movie?
Um, I really like Love Actually. Like
Of
I'll
course.
just throw Love Actually on in the middle of the summer. Love that movie so much. Um, a lot of the movies that I like are kind of sad. So like if I need like a pick me up movie, I'll put on a Pixar movie usually. Or like a Wally. I love Wally. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
how
I've
could you go
seen
wrong
it
with
so
Wally?
many times. Yeah. Yeah. Inside Out. Soul is another great Pixar movie. Yeah, I'd say those are like the movies that I can turn on and feel good, and not, I've seen them so many times not to pay attention that much, but I'm like, oh, this reminds me of a better time.
Well,
you know?
you know what? I'm sure so many people are gonna have a great time at Deadpool Wolverine. I had a great time getting to talk to you, Brianna. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for talking to me.